Today we're taking a look at 5 of the best gaming mouse options of 2022, and I'll have links to all these individual reviews for these mice as well as the Amazon links if you guys want to check them out individually. Remember, this list is subjective. Also feel free to let me know what your guys' top 5 is in the comments down below. Coming in at number 5, I put the HyperX Pulsefire Haste, which is a lightweight, wireless, ambidextrous gaming mouse that has a similar shape to the Viper V2 Pro, and it definitely packs a punch for the price it's usually sitting at of around $65. And even right now on Amazon, you can actually find it for $50, which I think is a pretty great steal of a deal for this mouse. It does have some honeycomb on it, unlike the rest of the mice on the list, but it's only 61 grams, making for a very effortless movement, good for faster paced games. It is using TTC Golden micro switches, which make for a very crispy response that still feels great. And the Pixart 3335 sensor they are using isn't up to snuff with some of the other more expensive options on this list, but I've had no issues with it so far, providing me with a great experience. So if you want a great lightweight ambi gaming mouse that won't also break the bank, I think the Pulsefire Haste Wireless is a great option. At number 4, I put the X2 symmetrical wireless, which I'm gonna be grouping the mini version and that medium version in the same one here, with the medium just working better for that claw style of grip, and the mini leaning more towards only that fingertip style grip, unless you just have smaller hands in general. You might be able to get into more of a claw also with the mini. The X2 symmetrical wireless though is a mouse that's very well built out and comes in at only 56 grams, making it the lightest mouse that I have on the list today, just 3 grams lighter than the Viper V2 Pro. You get a solid shell design on the top with an open bottom, which still makes for a very solid feel in hand, along with some super crispy Kale GM 8.0 switches and some TTC Golden encoder for that scroll wheel, giving a nice balance and defined scroll steps as well. The X2 also has some of the latest technology as far as that sensor goes, with the Pixart 3395, giving you some of the best performance available on the market. This all comes in a $95 package as well, placing it around $50 below some of our next options and striking definitely a good balance of features and pricing. At number 3 is everyone's favorite potato shape and a classic in the G Pro Superlight. The mouse has been out for a couple of years now, and one that I definitely put in a couple thousand hours on, and really the only thing keeping me really from just putting this up at number 1 on the list is just the fact that we haven't seen a refresh or an update for those couple years that it has been out, which I'm thinking that we're definitely due for here soon though. The G Pro Superlight shape is a very safe one, working great for that claw to fingertip style of grip, and only coming in at 63 grams, making for a very just effortless movement that has felt great and consistent since day 1 up until now for me. You still have the micro USB on the Superlight along with a slightly older sensor, which for me isn't a big deal as I can't tell the difference much, but in comparison to some of the newer releases, it would be nice just to see these get upgraded along with some of those mushy side buttons that we have in the G Pro now, maybe a little bit more crisp in the future as well. But now, with you being able to find the Superlight on sale more often for around $110, I think it's a very safe bet and a great option to consider that it's gonna almost work for anyone. Razer's been doing a great job with their mouse releases this year, with one of those being that Viper V2 Pro, which I have at the number 2 spot. The Viper retained its same shape, being yet again another symmetrical mouse that's gonna be best for that claw to fingertip grip style. It did lose those rubber grips and the RGB though, allowing it now to only weigh in at a very light 59 grams. Razer has their Gen 3 optical switches in here, which also feel very crisp for an optical switch while offering you that very consistent and fast response. They're also using the Focus Pro 30K optical sensor, which has been so far for me super spot on, providing some great performance, with one of the more unique features of the new Razer mice being that you now have that option to add on that hyper pulling dongle, which what it does is it can take that normal 1000 hertz pulling rate all the way up to 4000 hertz pulling rate, which can ensure you just the fastest connection possible and might be what you need to give you that edge while gaming. With the Viper V2 Pro costing $150, it's definitely not on the cheaper side, but it offers you some of the most cutting edge performance on the market currently and is in a very durable and lightweight frame, putting it towards the top of my list. Finally, at the top of the list with the number 1 spot, I have yet another Razer mouse in the DeathAdder V3 Pro, which is also the biggest mouse on the list, having a more ergonomic shape. Unlike the Viper V2 Pro though, the DeathAdder actually went back to the body shop and came out with a little bit of a new shape in comparison to the older ones, and I think it's almost perfect for a very comfortable claw grip mouse. It has that hump that meets you nicely in the back of your hand, giving you better support. In my opinion, it's just better than the older versions of the DeathAdder, which I never thought I would say because I was such a fan of that older shape. They also brought its weight down all the way to 63 grams now. Even with that bigger frame, I will say it feels super nice in hand, making for some super effortless movements. It's also rocking that same hardware that we see in the Viper V2 Pro with that Focus Pro 30K sensor, those Gen 3 optical switches, and the optional, of course, 4K polling rate. It does have bigger side buttons also though, which I do prefer. It comes in at the same price as the Viper V2 Pro at that $150 mark, but again, offers you some fantastic shape options here with a little bit bigger ergo shape, and of course that same cutting edge performance, which is why it brought it up to the #1 spot on my list. All these mice I mentioned today are great in their own rights, and some will work better for you than others, as each person's grip, hand size, and play style is just different, but the mice in this list are all generally pretty universal and can be used by most play styles. Definitely though, let me know what your guys' favorite mice of the year are down below in the comments, and hit the like button if you did enjoy the video, and do consider subscribing. Go ahead and check out some of the other mouse reviews on screen now.